well, as you can see, my email address is a long email address, and the reason is because I'm basically one of the HR faculty at the Mechanical Engineering Department. My area of study is energy management. I'm working Parker Aerospace as engineering manager for performance analysis, which is modeling and simulation group, basically. My consultings are all concentrated on energy management and energy auditing. When I go through more detail on energy auditing today, I'm going to specifically tell you what I do also personally on this side. This is a very general presentation today. I'm trying to condense a lot of things. I have about 170 slides. I'm not sure if we can go through all of them. But don't get into too much detail. What I want you to get from this class is mostly the big picture. What is energy auditing? What are the main factors on energy auditing? Right? The calculation and all of those stuff, people do it a little bit different, but what I want you to get is the big picture. And I'm going to more emphasize on the big picture for you. Right? So, from the topic of the course or the lecture, it's about energy, and when it's auditing, it's about counting. So we're going to count the energy correctly and find out how energy is being used at different facilities, basically. So let's go through some of the basics of energy auditing. Well, whenever I'm going to do energy auditing, there are a couple of things I have to consider. First of all, what's the purpose of this energy auditing? What I'm trying to do? What's the level of the complexity that I'm trying to achieve with this energy auditing? And how involved I want to be committed economically on an energy auditing. You know, a lot of places, they want to know something about energy auditing, but they really don't want to put their dollar on it, right? So that requires a completely different type of energy auditing than a company that is committed, it has a budget, and they want to do it different, right? So before energy auditing starts, you must meet with the managers of that company, the people who are key decision makers, in order to find out what is their budget, what is their purpose, and why they are doing this, right? And depending on what they want, you can always customize the level of the energy auditing you want to do. So, the type of the energy auditing you can do are mainly divided into three different categories. Either they are residential, commercial, or industrial. Residential is the houses, apartment complexes. Commercial is referring to shopping malls, spaces, you know, that are big, but mainly used for shopping, marketing, some office space even. And industrial is referring to factory, where, for example, you have heavy usage of energies, like a power plant, like a refineries, right? We pass by refineries from Long Beach every day, perhaps, and you see refineries, as much as they generate energy, they are a huge consumer of energy of themselves as well in the world. My area of specialty is on the industrial side. And even when you go to the industrial side, my specific area that I work a lot is on boilers and heat exchangers, basically. Trying to optimize them, trying to find the right boiler, try to calculate the energy saving by basically tweaking the systems. But today we are going to talk about all of these three very quickly. Okay, there are three different types of energy audit that you can do when you're doing energy audit. The very first step is you go to a walkthrough audit. Basically, you walk through a factory or you walk through a residential complex and you take a note and you have pictures, camera to take pictures, and you try to find out where are the sources of the energy. So you try to have two columns. One, defining the sources of the energy, and the second column, you try to define where are the sinks, where are you using the energies. And I'm going to define all of these sources and sinks in the next couple of slides. So on a standard audit, basically you try to calculate the efficiencies, you try to calculate where you're losing energy, how much energy you can save if you do some improvement. That's the major part of it. How much energy you're going to save if you do improvement. Because nobody's going to put their money on a project if they don't know how much it's saving, right? At the end of the day, it's all about money. in my session of the class. I'm sure when you're teaching, you're talking about being green and all of those things. But when it comes to energy auditing, it's all about money. You know, if you cannot save money, then it's going to come up with the investment ways. And if you want to go further, you can do computer simulation and basically build models of the operation, collect real data, and generate very professional reports, basically. And that's what I do. That's where I get into the picture, basically, from my most consulting, because my background is very analytical, and I can use it basically to write computer codes in order to monitor the energy uses. So let's look at the level 1 basic auditing. And the very first thing you have to do on basic auditing is look at the energy bills. Every residential, every company, every commercial building has either utility bills, gas bill, electricity, and water. By the way, water is part of the system as well, right? But mainly we are focused today on gas and electricity. So you have to look at the bill. And when you look at the bill, you have to look at usually 24 months, 2 years. And don't just look at the bills and go page by page. If you have an Excel sheet, draw it based on month, look at the fluctuation, how it changes. You have to be able to create a pattern between the fluctuation of the energy. Most likely the energy usage in a facility is not going to be constant. If it's an industrial facility, depending on the load and production, the energy is going to be more or less. If it's a residential facility, depending on the time of the year, summer, winter, your bill is going to be different. The reason that you need to create this pattern is you're not going to believe what a lot of problems that factories or residential places or commercial places have is their meters are not working correctly. You cannot assume and start your energy auditing based on meters that are not correct. By trying to establish a pattern, you're actually double checking if the meter is taking measurement correctly. Right? You might say, what do you mean by meter not being correctly? Because if the meter is not correct, you are paying based on that meter monthly. I'm not talking about the main meter that the gas company is running. If you look at, for example, a refinery, there are maybe more than hundreds of different meters inside the refinery that is local, internal to the usage of each. Each boiler has its own meter. That's how you measure the energy usage for each boiler, basically, right? So by having the pattern, you establish that your reading is correct, and by the way, you also try to make that pattern for each meter. On the next step, then you try to do some calculation. Try to see where are the units that are using the most amount of energy. Rank them from top to the bottom. Why? Because the units that are using the most amount of the energy, they have the capacity to give you the most amount of saving as well. Right? So when you want to attack them in order to reduce the energy usage to save, you got to start from the top. And on the level 3, you're going to talk about the economical plan that you have. If this energy saving is going to bring back $15,000, how many years is going to take to pay it back? If it's going to be paid back, for example, 20 years, it's not worth it. Nobody's going to invest for that. You have to consider the value of your money, the maintenance of the product you are buying. It's very important on energy calculation. In today's course, we are not going to get to that detail because all of this economical viewpoint is going to be covered, or it has been already covered in other courses basically or in this class. But it's the simplest. When it comes to energy auditing, if you want to do energy auditing as a career, you have to be certified. There are 2 different certification agencies. One of them is called the Certified Energy Auditor, CEA. There is another one which is more famous, is CEM, the Certified Energy Manager. If you look at business cards of people who are doing energy auditing for a living, basically their name, comma, CEM, which is a Certified Energy Manager. Right? So it's a test that you have to take, couple of classes that you have to take, and then you're certified. And every several years you have to go and renew your certification, basically. Now, so what you do for energy auditing, you have a